Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Game Over Vancouver / Game Over Ottawa tonight. My name is Kaja Antic, and I am here with Damian from Game Over Ottawa. The Ottawa Senators beat the Vancouver Canucks 5-4 in overtime. But before we get into talking about the game tonight, check out the flagship show of the Game Over Network on the Game Over Network YouTube channel, Hyperdrive Hockey, all things hockey across various leagues in multiple countries. Whatever it is and wherever it is, Max, Daphne, and Kev have you covered for all your hockey news with a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. You can find Hyperdrive Hockey on the Game Over Network YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts on the Hyperdrive Hockey page at thegameovernetwork.com. All right, Damian, how do you feel about the Sens'
Hello.
performance tonight?
Okay, it's not the best. I think they played a pretty good road game for the most part. That third period, they were playing awesome for the first 15 minutes, and then they let up one chance basically, other than the Sherwood one. Besser just bangs it home, I guess. Overall, though, not bad, not bad, and I'm just happy they took the 2 points. Like they're finding ways to win, and this was what. Remember last time we both did a game together, right? The Sens lost. I think it was 4-3 on home ice, and that was the worst part of the season. Like I was sort of staying a little level headed because I was just meeting you for the first time and stuff, and it was a crossover. Not trying to be too heavy on the Sens talk. But yeah, like ever since, I think they are 10-2-1. So they're rolling right now. I don't want to take over this cast with positivity because I know there's probably some angry Vancouver fans in the chat right now. But yeah, the Sens played decent, not their best game, but they got the 2 points. I'm happy. I am.
Um, the Sens are 1 point behind the Canucks. Obviously, they're different divisions,
Hmm.
obviously different conferences, not vying for the same playoff side of the bracket. Um, Considering even a conversation to be had, considering the last time these two teams met and how it was faring, because the Canucks were doing so well at that. Well, they weren't doing so well,
They
but they
were
were.
they were doing good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because they
Yeah.
played like 2 games on home ice and that was it. But they were on like their road win streak, and then the Sens, like you said, they're kind of hitting a low point, and then since then they've now gone 10-2-1.
I think so. It's that or 9-2-1. So it's a crazy streak. They're on a 6 game heater now.
It was I just remember hearing that it was they said 9-2-1, like, oh yeah, they've been 9-2-1 since these two teams met, and I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And that was very that was a very physical game filled with a lot of animosity from the
Yes.
start, because that was the Quinn Hughes takes out Josh Norris game. And this game, Quinn Hughes was basically the only player out there for the Canucks, except for Brock Besser at times to put the puck in the net. Quinn Hughes, if he's not in heart conversations at the end of the year, if Vancouver makes the playoffs, which is an if right now, with the way they're playing, just kind of insane to think about, considering the standings that they were. Last Christmas, they were top of the league. I remember that. My dad drew the Canucks skate logo and put their stats in my Christmas card. And I opened it and it said Canucks top of the league on Christmas 2023, and it was so good, and now it's just so bad, and it's not like they're still above 500. They're
Yeah, you're there.
we're still in the hunt, but it just feels like the world is kind of like crumbling.
Hmm.
um
Okay, let me ask you this. Like, okay, what do you like? All right, your record is still decent, right? All things considered, you're 16-10-6. So, yeah, it's not horrible. Like, what would you ideally want it to be right now? Because you're basically outside of the playoffs. You're tied with Dallas. You're 4 points back of Edmonton with a game in hand, right? Like with a record wise, what do you want the Canucks to be at this point?
I want them to be closer to where, like, even Edmonton is, or LA. Like, on paper, the Canucks are a way better team than the LA Kings, in my opinion. And
Hmm.
the Kings are 19-9-5. And look at the Oilers. They started the season in the bottom 5 of the league. And now
LA
they're
doesn't make sense.
okay, LA's never, yeah, the
Yeah,
rebuild.
that one doesn't make sense.
I just LA. The Canucks, I just don't know what the answer is for them. It's
Hmm.
yeah, it was hard to watch. I mean, I
Can
knew,
I,
sorry.
sorry to interject there, but can I just say, like, yes, Hughes is so good, but like the rest of your decor, I get it. You need some physical brutes out there, like a Forbert. Myers is not going to put up any offense, right? Okay, so you have Forbert, you have Darnay, and you have
He won a Calder.
uh, what's that?
Myers won the Calder.
Yeah, he did. Oh, I was like, that was so long ago. And that was his best season.
I was in
Why do
elementary
you
school.
have? Yeah, yeah. And so, and then you also have Juleson back there. He doesn't put any offense, and Susie. So like, you're relying on Hughes every single shift. I get Hronik's out of the lineup right now, but damn, like,
And it's not like
uh,
Roanoke was that good either.
no, he's not the best. No.
No. I like, and I know the Sens have their experiences with Brandstrom and stuff, but like, is he the second best offensive option that we have right now on our D core? Because if
Or like
so,
offense, maybe.
for
Yeah.
like offense, yeah, not for defense, but like when your defense, the only thing that they can do is hit people, and they
Hmm.
can't even defend properly. Like, was it? I can't even remember what goal it was because this was like, if you're a goal,
Myers,
the
the
Meyer,
Pinto goal.
the
He got
Pinto goal.
beat, right? Yeah,
Oh
the
well,
second Pinto goal.
oh yeah, the second one. Thanks
Yeah.
for reminding. No, it was. Was it? I think it was either. Was it? I'm just trying to see. I think it may have been the first Pinto goal.
Hmm.
Juleson makes a hit on Cousins at the Sens blue line. Like, still in the
Yeah.
neutral zone, but still at the Sens blue line. But the play's still going the other way. Juleson has this
Hmm.
thing where he likes to make the hit for going where the play is. Like, obviously, within the bounds of where the puck is going to be, because he's not Tyler Myers, apparently. So, he will make the hit way too high, like on the ice, so that
Yeah.
the play goes the other way, and then the other team has a scoring chance because one of their defensemen isn't back there. So Susie is the only one back there, and I know some people in a group chat that I was in were blaming Heinen for that because he also flubs the puck and it goes over to Amadio. Um, but still, he's also not a defenseman. The defenseman is the one who's way up ice. It's the Canucks are in a bit of a tough spot with their decor, and yeah, Juleson gets a hit regardless on if it's the right play or not. Thank you, Mark. Mark is joining us from the Philippines. So, thank you
Yeah.
for.
What time is it there?
I don't know, but
Maybe
maybe
he's just
that
waking up.
maybe it's the time where the Canucks finally start learning how to play hockey at when the game starts, because that's just been a trend throughout the entire season. I have no idea why. It ended up 2-2 at the end of the first. It was Quinn Hughes and Quinn Hughes only. I mean, yeah, sure, Brock Besser got that first goal, but yeah, it's ridiculous. Um,
So you guys are what, 4-3-3 here? Is this your worst stretch of the year, or has there been worse stretches so far this year? Because for the Sens, we had a 5-game lose streak, I think, and the end of it was that Vancouver game, right? And I think
mm,
we pretty much carried the pace of play for that game, but I think we were down 4-1, and then we came back, made it 4-3, and then genuinely there was people like talking about the Sens core and like actually blowing it up after that game.
yeah,
I think we touched on it. I think
yeah,
I sort of conservative, but yeah, like that was our worst stretch. Then we got hot. Like, so has this been going on the entire year for Vancouver?
the home game sucking or just generally just
Like,
can't string
like
wins together.
yeah, that sort of thing. Because y'all have so many OT losses. You have 7, I think.
Yep,
What is it? Oh, 6 of them. 6, I think.
a
Yeah,
seven
I think.
including today.
Oh, okay. I'm just updating it right now. You're right. Yep, 7. Yep.
7 including
So
today. It's yeah, we cannot. It's either like even the wins, we don't even control the play most of the time too. Like you said,
mm,
that Sens game, like a lot of the wins, the one win that felt like we deserved it was the Florida game
hmm
last week. I I mean the Avs game, sure. We walked the Avs at the same time. That was mostly Demko and Kiefer Sherwood because Kiefer Sherwood scored all 3 goals for the Canucks. Is his first career hat trick. We have one win in OT and it was in Detroit. I think that's our only OT win. Oh no, we also beat Buffalo, but
yeah.
yeah.
At Buffalo. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry. I'm just looking right now. You guys have in shots. You guys are fourth last with 26. So
that's been
mhm,
another issue
I get it.
with the team. Yeah, I think our longest win streak, it was 4 games. And it was an OT win in Florida, 3-0 in Philly, 6-3 in Chicago, yeah, in Chicago, and then 4-3 against the Pens, which was a come from behind. um, and then the next closest we have is a 3 game loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, win, loss, win. Like,
Back
it's
and
so
forth.
back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just have no idea what the answer is for this team. It feels like Quinn Hughes is the only one that actually cares. Like even Lankinen, who was pretty good for the Canucks when Demko was out, that OT goal just really made me question that. It was like cool for Sanderson, great job, buddy.
Yeah.
But Lankinen, I've seen better saves from beer league goalies, and also it's not like he had any help from the team.
No, we should talk about that, right? I know we talked about this right before we got on the stream here, right? So Miller, it that like 16 seconds in the overtime, right? Pinto, it's a scramble
Mm-hmm.
at the in the draw, like it's just started. Pinto sort of wins it. Stutzla like hashes it back to Sanderson. Sanderson drops it off of Stutzla like a little saucer pass up in the neutral zone, and then Sanderson just beats Miller, right?
Yep.
He beats him.
Yep.
Jake Sanderson's a great skater, but like Miller's just starting the OT period. He's got to be fresh. And I know
Mm-hmm.
JT Miller's not like the fastest guy in the world, but you have to have your guy. Right at the end of the day, it's man on man defense in OT.
Brock Besser, who is also not a super fast skater, was able to
He's
stay
not at
with.
all.
No, he's not at all. I love Brock Besser. That's not a slight on him, but that's just a fact. It's a fact. Um, he's able to stay with Kachuk the whole time. Quinn obviously takes Stutzla, and then Sanderson is allowed to just get
Well, there
past to
you go.
Miller. Like,
Free lane.
there's a free lane. He's behind him. Like, shout out the NHL.com. They have one good thing going for them. Sanderson's ahead of Miller before they even leave the Ottawa zone.
hmm
You can't.
Yeah.
That's that's
Well, yeah,
important.
you would think that like okay, Miller. I know he's not being a Selkie guy. Ever considered like 2 years ago, I remember like he was considered one of the worst defensive players in the league, and then last year it seemed like they kind of took care of him a little bit,
Yeah,
and then
because they brought
talk
in
it.
Talkett because he was
Yeah.
the Kessel Whisperer. So they're like,
hmm
okay, we're gonna bring him in, and he's gonna be the Miller Whisperer. Um, and arguably it worked. Miller was playing better. Miller um got to 100 points last year. Like he
Yeah.
was doing much better. It's just like I don't know what has happened with that. I don't know if it's his ongoing beef with a like 26-year-old, but that's a that's for another time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I put out a post and it was just like JT Miller when the other team is going to Canucks net and it's just that emoji of that guy just standing there because that's basically
hmm
what he does. He just stands there. He's more of a pylon than Susie is half the time. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. And I get it. Susie's job is to defend, But also, JT Miller, you're one of the bigger guys on the team. You have an A on your chest. Use it.
Yeah. No, it's true. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I know watching from the outside, I know he's like I don't know if hothead's the right word. Um, and yes, there's been like questions over the years with just like, okay, what is he like in the room, right? Is he a bad guy? I don't know, because this is all speculation. Is he a bad guy? Is he um does he blame guys for, making mistakes and stuff? I don't know, but then at the same time he backs it up, right? Because he puts up points. But then this year he has not been good, right?
Yeah,
All things considered, I know he had to leave for a bit, so be empathetic about that, of course. But um, yeah, I don't know, because he when he's at the top of the game, he is so good. He's
yeah.
really good on the wall, and he can put. He's kind of a weird player because in I remember when he was in Tampa Bay, New York, he was like a good top six guy, and then all of a sudden he gets traded to Vancouver and he's elevated and bam, like a couple 100-point seasons
Mm-hmm.
out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I have this like notion in my mind that he's still kind of that guy in New York and Tampa, but then I forget this guy's 100 points twice is crazy in this league. And that of
Yeah.
course, like being a Vancouver fan, you expect that performance from him. So I totally get your critique on him.
I mean, I also think it's because, like, he is one of the supposed bigger voices on the team, I believe.
Mhm.
Because he does have one of the bigger contracts on the team. That's obviously, we can't control that as fans. But still, that's like a stick point of contention. He is the player that they chose over re-signing Bo Horvat, who was the captain at the time. Like, that's another situation. Because it's a couple seasons ago. And they also, like, I feel like there's this extra pressure when it comes to Miller because of the Horvat thing, because
Mhm.
he arguably the only good trade that Benning made. Um yeah. Um so there's that. Uh I'm trying to think of the other words. Mark said in the chat, JT Miller's the angry emotion from inside out, so the hot-headed thing, I understand. I understand where you're coming from that with that. He is definitely more of what you would call an emotional leader from what
Yeah.
I can see. Like, you only know 5% of what's going on in the locker room. Um but that's kind of like the vibe I get, cuz Quinn Hughes is just a skill guy. He's insanely good. Again, if he doesn't get a nom for the Hart Trophy this year, what are we doing here? At
Yeah, I know.
like at this point, it's almost as rigged as the Mark Messier Leadership Award.
Mhm.
Um which is another point of contention. Um I Yeah, and then Pedersen, who's the other alternate captain, he's obviously seems a bit more of a quiet guy, because
Yeah.
Europeans, they're weird. Um, speaking,
Hopefully, there's no Europeans in the chat right now.
no, I don't mean I meant
No,
like,
I know what
because
you
he's
mean.
he's more of a quiet, reserved leader, kind of like
Yeah.
he takes after the Sedins, in
Hmm.
my
True.
opinion,
Hmm.
because that's my point of Swedish reference. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, so Miller would be kind of the more emotional leader in that sense. And when the emotion that he's showing is just complete animosity to playing the game that he's paid to play, like he got, I think he got 2 assists his first game back, or one of his first few games back, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay, Miller's back. We got, like, that break was good, and I was like, all right, cool. And then just kind of nothing. It's just kind of been downward very quickly since then. Yeah. Um
Well, like I'm trying to think. So your team lo- last year, you guys had a very good roster on paper. Now, okay, so if I'm just trying to look at the forwards right now, if you're looking at legit top six forwards on your team, you have Miller, Pedersen, Besser. Is that it?
Garland.
Or DeBrusque? Is Garland considered top six now?
Um
Because
I would say
he had a
so.
couple tough years.
He's had a
Okay.
couple tough years. But I think he's evolved as a player, I think
Hmm.
he's also one of Tockett's guys, cuz when Tockett was um head coach of Arizona, it was when Garland was still there. Garland
Hmm.
also
True.
right out the gate, he was one of our better players when we still had Travis Green as a head coach in 2021.
Yeah.
Garland, he has his moments, and he's a bit streaky, but I would say he's definitely up there as one of the better top six
Yeah.
players. But like, is he a top six on every team? Probably not, but on this roster, yes.
Like I didn't even realize he's playing 20 minutes a night.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, right? So like Garland, I feel like if you're looking at like a Stanley Cup winning team, he's probably like on paper you're 6 or 7. But now, like if I'm sorting by ice time right now for forwards on the Vancouver Canucks, and I'm
Oh,
not like trying to crap on Garland whatsoever. He's first. He's playing 20 minutes a night for you
because he's
guys.
Providence guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm wondering that I just don't think there's enough scoring there, right? For you guys. And I'm probably saying nothing new to Canucks fans right now, in the chat. But yeah, like because Pedersen has 26 points, that's it. Like you're paying him $11.5 million, and he's actually one of my favorite players in the league because like his shot's awesome when he uses it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like he's pretty responsible defensively and stuff. Um, but I don't know it just ever since his injury that he had last year,
Yeah.
basically since the contract, right?
Yeah, it was so he got I think it was like diagnosed with like tendonitis in his knee, which is something that
Mm,
doesn't really go away. So it's, it's kind of a situation that you can monitor, you can try and treat it like in the moment, but it's not something that goes away automatically. So you're probably not getting like peak PD every single day, every
mhm.
single game. Um Apparently Pedersen was pissed in his post-game
Mm.
interview, according to Mark. So thank you for that information. F-Boy PD is back. Oh, wow. Okay. Um, yeah, he played the most he had the most ice time tonight of the Canucks, so that's good. He was a -1, so that's not good. Yeah, I think Pedersen he is being paid the big bucks. He hasn't been as okay. In recent years, he's had his struggles. He's had also some
Yeah.
very good performances. Like when he was coming back from wrist surgery a couple seasons ago, he was still very like it still took him like half the year to get going. This year, he's dealing with the lingering knee thing, stuff like that. He still has like he had some really good chances tonight, in my opinion, but also he's like an easy scapegoat because of the price tag that's attached to him,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of I am trying to think of a Sens comparable, and for some reason my brain is like, oh yeah, Eric Carlson, but I don't think that's a 1-to-1.
Like I would say maybe Stutzla
Oh
like
yeah.
was in his head.
Mm-hmm.
Stutzla, like not to say because they're both European and stuff.
Very
But they're
different.
both
He's
like, yeah,
German.
yeah, I know. But like they're both really skilled. I would say Stutzla is probably a little bit of a faster skater. But the thing is that Stutzla, people don't realize this a lot of the time. He gives a shit. Like I'll say, he gives a shit like on the ice every game. He's super competitive with Pedersen. You can tell he's a little bit more relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
composed, if you want to use that word. But the thing is, when he's not putting up points, then people are going to call him out because he's going to look lazy or whatever. He could be. I don't know. He could not be. But yeah, I'm on Twitter right now. Pedersen says on any potential rift with JT Miller, I don't know why people are trying to make shit up. So
Oh,
there you go. That's what Mark meant by the F boy PD, I would assume.
okay. You know what? That's what I'm getting into in the third period of the show because
Mhm.
I am just so sick and tired of the whole narrative. But honestly, I like that because again, we only know like 5% of what goes on in the room. I'm not in Elias Pettersson's head, like controlling him like Remy and Ratatouille. Like that's not. We don't know what goes on.
No.
They don't have to be BFFs. Not everybody is Sid and Gino, and that's okay. Honestly, that's probably for the best because Pittsburgh is Pittsburghing right now. Um, yeah, his agent negotiated the contract about PD, I assume, at the time is considered a good deal for Van. Yeah, because like you could be stuck with like a Sagan contract. He gets
Yeah.
paid 2 mil more, and he's uh still a very good, decent player. But he's not like the same level that he was during his prime, right?
Hmm.
Whereas with Pedersen, he's kind of in that age window. Like, and also some players take a bit longer to reach their top potential. If they were very good when they were younger, they can still be even better with it. JT Miller is an example.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I Tim Stützle, I admire his just kind of stick to itiveness with his play. I also see kind of, not to be stereotypical, but the Swedish German kind of juxtaposition in that. But also when I think of other German players like Leon Draisaitl, he could not care less about doing like shootouts and stuff. So I'm like, they are
Hmm.
very two different players, obviously. But that's who I think of. Um, hate whenever there's reporting that some people don't get along, and it's a huge issue. I don't trust anyone who claims they like every coworker they've ever had.
True. Like it's such a good point. I'm okay. So this, where I don't know, I sort of missed where this report came out of. I don't know, maybe I was at work or something. I just missed on my Twitter timeline. But so this has been going on for a couple of years now, is what it seems
Allegedly.
like. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Because that
Okay.
was
Yeah, I don't know.
when the Canucks were had their issues. It was the second year with Boudreau. They
Yeah.
barely missed the playoffs. They missed the playoffs because Adam Gaudette had beat us in a shootout in
Oh, I
April.
remember that.
I
I
was
remember
there at that game. This was
the
the first
Sens.
Sens game in Vancouver I've missed in the last 3 years. And like from being in the building, and it was Adam
Really?
Gaudette. Yeah, I went the last year. One of my friends is grew up a Sens fan. So, um,
Okay.
we would go. And also last year they played in the evening, and there was a Vancouver Whitecaps game in the afternoon. So
Hmm.
double whammy. It was so fun, and I saw Tim Stützle leaving the hotel because it was
Oh, nice.
I accidentally walked. I turned a corner, and I was like, oh, that guy looks for. Oh, that's the guy.
That's Timmy.
That's Timmy. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the Canucks went into the 22-23 season, and it was awful vibes. That was the year Game Over Vancouver started. We started the season 0-7. So, was not great, and there was a lot of like conversation of like what's it like, because Horvat was still here, so there was a rumor
Hmm.
that there was a rift between Horvat and Miller and stuff like that, because Miller had been re-signed and Horvat hadn't. When is Horvat getting traded, all that kind of stuff. And then Pedersen, he still hadn't been re-signed yet, because he still had his contract for another couple years. um yeah, so there was all that stuff going on, and then the Talkett's getting hired drama that happened over a span of like 2 weeks because it got leaked, and then it just kept not happening, and then it happened. JT Miller yelling at Colin Delia in a game in Winnipeg because Delia wasn't leaving the net for the extra skater. There's been a lot of drama because when the Canucks are losing, I feel like we need to pin it on something. Um, and it's been pinned on, like, I feel like it's always pinned on a concept rather than a player.
Yeah, like
Like,
it's just, it seems like y'all are really dramatic in Vancouver or something. I don't
Hollywood
understand.
North!
Yeah. Uh, for a city that's or for people like since I moved here to BC, people here are way nicer and they actually live up to the stereotype as they're nicer than people in Ontario. You're saying yourself is not or you are chill.
You are in northern BC, brother.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm in the yeah, I'm sure Vancouver's a lot different, but
Oh, it's
damn, like
so different. It's
yeah.
so, like, it is night and day even from where I am, and I'm like an hour out. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
How,
I don't know. With like,
how does
y'all
best.
just gotta win, you know? No, I get.
Yeah, winning makes
I
you
was just reading
guys.
that comment too.
Winning winning gets everybody in a happy state of mind.
Hmm.
Winning gets your captain not traded to the Rangers. So
Yeah, I know.
because that was a conversation last time,
Well,
and I mean the Rangers do need some help. So
No, Brady's not available. They could take Hamonic if they want.
No! Third
They
round
could take
pick.
him. Yeah, yeah,
Third
instead of
round
a fourth
pick.
round pick.
Um, before we, I think, before we move on for the game recap, uh, do you think that Tocchet outcoached Travis Green, or do you think Travis Green outcoached Rick Tocchet
Oh,
tonight?
actually, okay. The one thing that I will say, I think Green did well. And last time we were on this cast together after the other Ottawa Vancouver game, I was like, damn, was this the right coach or whatever? Uh, and I mean, jury's still out, I guess, but damn, 18-3-2. Can't complain about that. He called, I think it was after the 3-3 goal. It was, which goal was that? Vancouver tied it up. Travis Green calls the timeout, and they used it as an excuse to like look at it was the DeBrusque goal because
Yeah,
Hughes took the shot from the
cause,
point.
cause I
Yeah,
thought he like kicked it or goaltender interference or something. It
yeah,
was yeah. That was when he
yeah.
like called the timeout to
hmm
look at it again. Yeah.
But that was such a that was such a good time to call a timeout because Ottawa has been a sort of fragile team this year, not recently, which is so weird because like they basically were like super fragile and then they just weren't. And I think goaltending has been a big part of that. Shout out Linus Ullmark. But like he called the timeout and he kills the crowd. And how many games do you actually use your timeout, right? In the season? Like 20, but maybe 30 at most. Uh, because if you're losing 5-2, you're not calling a timeout, right? If it's a 1 goal game, you're going to do it. But he calls that with the confidence that like the Sens are going to win the game, and it quiets down the crowd a little bit, and the Sens just go on and play. So if you're saying outcoached, then sure, I guess but that was such an underrated thing that Green did that I
I
saw.
I noticed that too, because like I also feel like Tocchet can't admit when he's wrong with some things.
hmm
Just from like an outside observation as somebody who watches this team every night. Not every
hmm
night. But yeah, that's kind of I forgot also that Alfie was one of your assistant coaches now. I was like, why
Yeah,
is he
it's
on the
weird.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Yeah,
kind
it's weird because if he gets fired, then okay, what do we do with him? Does he leave the city? I will get it.
like yeah, that's kind of with the Sedins are both in player development now for the Canucks,
hmm
which I mean like they are Vancouver Canucks in a way
Of
because like
course.
they were the franchise for pretty much my entire life.
hmm
So I mean like there's that connection, but also if player development isn't going so well, because apparently Linus Carlson played tonight. I had no idea. He's one of our prospects, you could say. He was signed. Sorry,
Sorta. I think he's like
sort.
24, 25, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a younger guy. They called him up from Abbotsford.
hmm
Yeah, nice to see the Sens in a wildcard spot. I will take as many Canadian playoff teams as possible. I want the Habs in the playoffs just so I can get more insane Habs fan clips on my Instagram timeline. Those are hilarious. But like the Habs TV or whatever.
Yeah, okay. Oh, true. Habs fans they don't need a reality check. But it's kind of nice to see them at the bottom of the standings because this summer they were talking a lot of trash. A lot. And
After
I know I
Line?
can't really say, yeah, after
Oh,
Line.
okay.
There
I
were,
guess
there
I
were,
heard.
because I get it. I get it that they were excited. I get it. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Because the summer of 2022, oh my goodness, I was so excited as a Sens fan. And then they don't make the playoffs. We signed Tarasenko, like,
Oh, right.
yeah,
I
right?
forgot he
Right.
was a Sen.
Yeah, exactly. That's how bad last season was for us. But yeah, like the Habs just, stay at the bottom of the standings. Actually, they're not. Buffalo
Okay,
lost
well,
again.
Buffalo's they're on what? Loss 12? Is it loss 11
Uh,
or 12 now? I think it's 12.
yeah, it's up there. They keep losing. But yeah, mhm. Let's move on though.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
sorry. I just okay. Da, 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 da. Also, sorry. I know I said we were gonna move on. Ref, you suck. Chance of the obvious double minor. I understand they got to review that. To me, it looked like Cousins had just bit his lip. and that's how he was bleeding. But also, I'm not gonna give Nick Cousins the benefit of the doubt. So
It's a reasonable take. I'll say that. I wondered that too because if there's any player that was going to do that, it's Cousins. He's going to find a way to bite his lip, like taking your glove or something. It'd be like, oh, like doing this, and then you bite your lip under it, right? And then it comes out, oh, I have blood here, right?
yeah,
Um,
because I was like, is there stick contact? Is there? I'm like, I think my sister was there with Cease in that corner. I could text her and find out. Do I
mhm.
think she was watching the play? Probably not. But yeah, there was some questionable. I want to say questionable reffing, but again, it's Rogers Arena. They're gonna complain no matter what.
Yeah.
I also don't know why Adam Gaudette isn't booed whenever he touches the puck, but that's also just me. Anyway, moving on. Game Over Network is an independent production focused on community inclusion and quality people. If you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, we have crowdfunding options available. In the description of this episode, you'll find a link to our Patreon page, and we're also working on a page through LaRouche, a crowdfunding platform for companies originating in Quebec. For LaRouche, we're aiming to raise $15,000, and if we hit that goal, we'll gain access to government grants that will allow us to employ more people. If you have any ideas for what you'd like to see as giveaways from these crowdfunding efforts, let us know in the comments on Twitter, Instagram, or our Discord server. It did hit him? Okay, I am also just blind. So there's that.
Okay. Like, okay, I was watching that like really hard because I know I was coming on as like a guest in a way here for Game Over Vancouver. So I'm trying not to like be the biased Sens fan kind of idiot guy, but like it does hit him. The stick, like Julesen's
Okay.
stick does hit his face.
The reason I can't be a high level hockey goaltender is because I have depth perception issues. So that maybe that came through the
Right.
cameras on TV. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's just me. It's not you, it's me. Anyway. Moving on. The Sens are on a bit of a tear right now.
Oh yeah.
6 games, 6 wins in a row. They're obviously 10-2-1 since we saw each other last. And just kind of recap how that's felt as a Sens fan. Because what does success feel like? I miss it.
I don't know what success feels like. This is the first time that my team has been good, and like this is the first time they've been on a 6 game win streak since 2017. That was the last time we made the playoffs. So I'm not going to make any assumptions and say the Sens are going to make the playoffs this year because I'm not going to celebrate until they clinch a spot. But they're 18, 13, and 2 now, which even like tonight, if they got a point, I was happy about it. I genuinely was because we had Marilyn in the net. He's like our fourth string goalie.
Yeah, I
um,
was like, who is this guy? And I was like, oh, they were like, yeah, his last game was 2 years ago in an OT loss in Carolina. I was like, oh, okay, we're losing.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But
yeah.
we've been good. We've been we haven't been playing so much differently, I would say. Just the one thing is Linus Ullmark has been the best goaltender we have had since Craig Anderson in 2017. Like Craig Anderson was just awesome to have in the net, and I think as Sens fans we took it for granted for a very long time. He was here from 2011, basically from 2011 to 2017. He was like the best goalie in the franchise history. His save percentage was always sky high, and he was one of those goalies that like he needed a lot of shots on net to like do well. He would his save percentage was so high that like the way Anderson would go through the season was he would have like 2 back-to-back games. He'd have like 45 saves and allow like 1 or 2 goals, and then the next game he allow like 3 goals on 10 shots and get pulled. So his save percentage was always very high, but he would win you a game just by saving all those pucks in the 2 other games. And then we went through a cycle of these like, okay, let's see what he does goalies, right? Like with you guys, you have Thatcher Demko, sort of, but he's an elite goaltender, and you can start him 55, 60 games a season. The Sens had like guys like Matt Murray and like Jonas Corposalo, who ideally are tandem guys, who they're going to be playing 45 games max and have had shaky pass. And Linus Ullmark, like if you look at his stats, he has not had a season under 900 save percentage. I think the worst year he's had is like a 905. That's it. That's it. The since he came to the league, he is second in save percentage, I think. Basically tied with Igor Shesterkin, and he actually might be higher right now.
That's just because the Rangers have nothing going for them.
Yeah.
905. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
On Buffalo too, I think. So
yeah.
Yeah.
18-19 Buffalo with okay. Give me a second here. 18-19 Buffalo. Who were their defensemen?
Okay. Yeah, you're looking at like Ristolainen. You're looking at Dahlin, rookie Dahlin. You're looking at Jake McCabe back in the day.
Dahlin wasn't even on the team. It was Jake McCabe, Bogosian,
yep. There you go, right?
Scandella.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next highest number of games was Casey Nelson.
Yeah, so like Linus Ullmark he's the reason why we've gone on this big win streak. I know Marilainen was in the net tonight, but the confidence that this team can just play with right now, they're more composed and they don't panic in the defensive zone. There were so many times tonight that I saw them just collapse because those players in the ice, they know when the puck goes to the point, when it goes to Derek Forbert and Vincent Desharnais, they know they're not going to be scoring with all due respect. So if you just have 5 of your players suck in to the slot and you cover the forwards, it's 5-on-3 basically. And as long as you get your sticks in the right lane and you know where you are, or your line mates are and stuff, then you're going to do a good job at playing a good defensive game. And I think we limited Vancouver to like 25 shots tonight. That's it on the road. That's a pretty good performance.
That's a high for Vancouver, I feel like.
I know.
Mark predicted 23.
I didn't realize you guys had that little shots, to be honest. Y'all need some offensive defensemen back there. It's crazy.
We need God. Sorry. Yeah, I feel like in a way the Sens have grown up a bit because they were always like a very young core team that were still trying to figure out their way, and now they have, I don't want to say a veteran goaltender. Ullmark's not ancient, but you have an experienced goaltender. You have some veterans on the team, but you have a lot on the up and up, because it always feels like in December the Sens are just on like what a streak that Buffalo is on right now. Yeah. It's like the stereotypical I feel like it's the stereotypical they start the season well and then they go through a rut in like November, December, January, and then they're out of the playoff picture by the time the All-Star comes around. This year felt like it flipped a little bit, so
Well, I mean, we'll see how the season goes along. They're riding a high right now. They haven't lost in 6 games, which is probably around 2 weeks at this rate, which is awesome to see. But yeah, like November has been the month that they've always sucked in. And even this year, I think they were 5-8-1, I believe, which is better than past years. Last year was actually December was more the bad month because right around this time they fired DJ Smith. They headed out to that road trip that the Sens have when they go out west, kind of in the Vegas, Colorado, those sort of games, Dallas. They played terrible. I don't think they won a single game. Last year was just really bad overall. But then you're basically out of it at that point. This year, they went out to Utah, Colorado, Vegas. They beat Utah. They lost against Colorado and Vegas, but they were 1-goal games. So, and all signs pointed to the Sens like they had good underlying numbers, but they still found themselves under 500. So at that point, you're waiting to see the results, and you have to be patient because it's frustrating as a fan when your team hasn't made the playoffs in 8 years, right? Because you want to see success now. And I think the Sens, the fans at least, they just need to wait a little bit longer, and here they are. Not saying that they're going to make the playoffs because we don't know that yet, but they're on track. It's just about like keep it rolling. play the way that you're playing right now, and you're not going to win every single game, of course, but man, they're playing with confidence, and they have the talent at the end of the day. And I think at least in the bottom six, for scoring wise, I feel like they might have a little bit more than Vancouver. And on the back end, though, their back end is solid, even without Zub there. Because,
Oh, where is
yeah,
he?
Zub's been out. He's injured. He's been injured
Okay.
basically the entire season. So they've had Hamonic on the
I was
top there.
like, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, right, Zoob. Yeah, Hamonic. Third round pick. But yeah, no, I feel like the Sens right now are where the Canucks were in 21-22. I feel like you guys are just going to be outside of the playoff picture because
Okay.
of like that's my prediction, but then I feel like they're not going to have the same 22-23 era that the Canucks had right after cuz that was awful. But also like the prior season, he scored 2 goals tonight. You were missing, that was last season, right? Where you were missing Shane Pinto for half the season. Or was that the season before?
No, that was oh yeah, it was, and we also lost Norris for 30
course.
games basically.
Yeah, because he's perpetually like, is this the most games he's played
Norris? And
in a season?
yeah. No, not in a
Consecutively?
season. Oh,
Consecutively.
maybe. No, it's a good point. I mean, because it's just the shoulders. Oh my goodness. And every time he goes in the corner, he takes a hit. I'm like, ooh, like, don't, please, nothing happen. Because I don't know if he gets another shoulder injury, I don't know what's going to happen, but knock on wood there that it's never going to happen again.
Because he's also locked up on a big contract, right?
Yeah, he's got 6 more years at $8 million.
Wow. Okay. So you're
There you
hoping
go.
that shoulder stays together.
I know.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. But he did get that shorthanded goal because the Canucks had a decent power play earlier in the year, and now they just don't know how to do anything with it. So, like, they have Connor Garland on the first power play unit.
Yeah, that's a second unit guy. Ideally.
Yeah, he's always been a second unit guy, and he's yeah.
Okay, so I remember last year they had Lindholm there, so you're going Hughes, Pedersen, Miller, Besser, and you need another guy out there, I think. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, wait, he's not on it?
Okay, so for the last little bit since Miller's come back, they started experimenting a bit because obviously they didn't have him for a while, so they were experimenting with the power play. They were separating the two of them, so sometimes Miller would be on PP1, but Pedersen wouldn't. Sometimes Pedersen would be on PP1, but Miller wouldn't. So it was kind of like a give or take sort of thing. But Garland, I think, has perpetually been on, again, because he's one of Talkett's guys. I just don't, like, he's very good at getting to the net. I give him that. He's small. He gets in the tight areas. On the power play, though, if you have a power play unit that works, arguably Lindholm was not one part of it that worked last year.
Yeah.
It was the plug DeBrusk in for Horvat from a couple years ago, and you're golden. That's all you need, pretty much. Like, you have Besser, you have Pedersen, you have Hughes, who's the best playoff quarterback in the league. You have Miller, you now have also Jake DeBrusk, who is the king at scoring weird bounce goals, because it keeps happening. Yeah, the power play is atrocious at this moment, but good job, Josh Norris.
That was, I mean, okay, to bring a different perspective on it, I was actually in wow of that goal. Like, I get it, sure, you can't allow that if you're a Vancouver fan. But man, so Hamonic backhands it to the corner. Jake Sanderson sends basically from the goal line in the corner all the way up to Giroux at the blue line, to the far blue line. And then the perfect, like, Besser was there. He was basically on Norris. The perfect pass to Norris And luckily, I think that Norris got a little lucky because it was a forward on the back check, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those moments where I think if you have 2D on your power play, then they don't get caught out like that. But that rarely happens, right? That play was one in 100. Like that does not that
Yeah.
does not happen. Norris
Also,
is a finisher though.
also, Norris was Miller's guy again, and Miller was basically in the neutral zone still when he scored.
Well, no, but
When the
Besser
when the
was
play started,
behind
because
him. Okay.
Besser was behind him eventually, but because he caught
Yeah.
up. Besser
Yeah.
originally lost the puck to Hamonic.
Yeah.
And I love
Mhm.
Brock Besser. He's not a defensive player. Um, he is there to score a goal. That's it.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
you know what? He does that pretty well. He scored 2 tonight. Good job, bro. Um, but you can't turn the puck over to Travis Hamonic. Like that's Travis Hamonic's job to turn the puck over, man. You can't. You can't do
Yeah.
that. No
Yeah.
offense. But yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. He's been the whipping boy. I mean, he's done okay, I think, all things considered. It's crazy that he's playing like top 4 minutes, but we're winning games, so I can't complain.
People
Jake
say the
Sanderson's
say
amazing.
yes. People say the same thing about Tyler Myers. So
Hmm. Yeah.
it's just like, oh yeah, I can't believe they extended him. Well, you know what? It could have been worse. He was making 6 mil last year, so
Yeah.
he's only at 3x3. I like him for a vibes thing, and apparently, again, we only know 5% of what goes on, but apparently he's a good guy in the locker room. He's like a glue. I don't know. He's a vibe guy. And you know what? He's like 6 foot 500, so
Yeah.
he's
Well,
he's a big vibe.
anytime I watch him out there, I'm just thinking, okay, if he's on the third pair, you're good because a 6'8" defenseman, he who has decent mobility, I think decent, not insanely great, but he can sort of move the puck, and that reaches like the reason I think Vancouver did well in the playoffs last year is like okay, their size actually helped out. What were the pairings last year? It was Hughes. They put Hughes and Hronik together.
Hughes,
They had
Hronik,
Susie.
Myers, Susie,
Yep.
Zadorov,
Oh, Dorov, right.
Cole.
And Cole. Cole, yeah, that's a good like there's not enough I would added okay. Here's the thing, right? Like Hughes all like decent offensively, but like crazy good offensively. Hronik, good offensively, not great defensively. Um, but then there's no other guy there on the back end that is like decent offensively,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're stuck. Like if that 3-on-3 went on longer in that game, who's subbing in for Hughes? Who are you? Who's gonna be on the
Like,
back end?
if we didn't have Quinn Hughes, we'd have to do what Toronto does and have a 5 forward power play.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
without him, there's no hope. Like, Quinn, I can't remember what game it was, but Quinn, I think he got high sticked. This was
Mhm.
before when he was wearing the bubble. He got high sticked, had a cut on his face. There's a lot of blood, so he had to go get stitches. And the Canucks had a 4 minute power play, and they did nothing. I don't think that they
Mhm.
generated a shot, maybe one, but still, they were not able to do anything. They have the man advantage for 4 whole minutes, and they do nothing with it. And then when Quinn comes back, he scores the next goal.
Yeah, it's insane. He's so good though.
He's so
It's unreal.
good, but you have to like their other players also have to be good.
Mhm. Someone step up, you know?
Yeah. Like I don't know. Maybe he needs to start fighting people, take some lessons from Brady.
He's like anytime he's out there, I feel so nervous as a fan. I like when I'm watching the game tonight, I am screaming at my computer saying, "Please, like pressure him. Don't let him just skate around." And honestly, like the Sens did a decent job, I think, at containing him, but he still put up 3 points at the end of the day, and he moves so well out there, and he's like a magnet for his passes. Like he takes the puck and he just zips it all the way down the ice and it's perfectly on the stick of the guy that comes into the zone. It's unreal because there's only 2 or 3 guys that can play like that in the league. And I get it. Like he's what 5'10" or something. So like playoffs or whatever, right? Can he survive? But he's unreal. He's so good. I would love to have him on our team. I'm okay with Brady as the captain, of course. And I think watching from an outside perspective, I think Quinn Hughes maybe was a little bit of a surprise being captain, I think, because he's a quieter guy, at least, right? And especially on the ice, but that was the right choice. I think he just needs a little bit more support if we're going to be talking about that, like, apparently drama thing going on. They need like another veteran, I think, in the locker room
They need
to
Luke
maybe
Shen.
facilitate. Yeah, but at the same time, can you guys please get like a stable partner for him? Chris Tanev was right there. He was
Yeah,
right there.
that's why that's one thing I'm actually still super mad about, and that we didn't get him at the trade deadline. We made so many
Mhm.
trades with Calgary. Why
I
couldn't you
know.
have gotten the one guy that actually would have stuck around in Vancouver?
Yeah.
Anyway, we that's what Hronek is supposed to be now, because we signed him long term because he was an RFA, and he's injured long term now. So
But he's not like
he's
he's
not
another
good.
offensive guy.
He's not good. You need offensive guy and defensive
Mm.
guy on pairing together. That's how that works.
Exactly.
It's like a battery. You're not gonna put the two positive charges together, like you know how they flip in containers and stuff.
Yep.
That's what you have to do with D pairs. That's why, I mean, yeah, sure, it was the Canucks didn't make the playoffs when it was like a Canucks Shen pairing, but also they did when it was a Canucks Shen, Hughes Shen, or like
Yeah.
Hughes Tanev. They did make the playoffs, and then they walked Tanev. I have so many thoughts about everything that the Canucks do, and yeah, yeah. Unless they want to double shift Hughes on every power play for,
Yeah, this is what we ran into with Shabbat, and now
yeah.
all the pieces are there, and like the Sens decor. Oh my god, it feels so nice out there right now because
Mm-hmm.
there's a distribution of everything, right? Like we don't have a Hughes on our back end, that star like crazy good, flashy, does like walks the line, puts up a ton of points. But like there's Sanderson, can play defense, can play offense. Shabbat, play
Yeah.
defense, play offense.
I was gonna say like
Like
Sanderson's like a baby Hughes in my mind.
yeah. Yeah, well,
He's
but he's also like he's bigger and he
mhm.
like when we drafted him, he was not known as an offensive guy at all. He was like a good skater, um very good defensively for his age, and he came into the lineup like was good like immediately into the NHL. But then we also have Jensen, who he's not like I think a lot of Sens fans thought that Jensen was going to be like a Desharnais or not a Desharnais, sorry, like a Myers maybe. But Jensen is he'd be a perfect deep partner for Hughes. He is so good at like not like he's not going to put up a ton of points, but he picks his spots perfectly. He's never out of position. He is mobile too. He's not going to put a crazy shot on net, dangle through a bunch of players, but he'll take the puck in the defensive zone and he'll get it out to the right spot every single time. So he's not like tired at the end of the game again, hemmed in, because he's a defensive defenseman, but he has some offensive skills to back that up. Same thing with Artem Zub. They're sort of similar, where there's that wealth, right? Like there's a little bit of everything, and you can kind of mix and match a lot of players. With Vancouver, right? If you're putting Hronek and Hughes on the same pairing, which they did, right, last year, uh, and it worked, I guess.
That's the only
But
reason that Hronek has such a high contract that he does now, because
exactly.
Hughes
Hmm.
elevated his stats because he's Quinn Hughes.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah, it's
Y'all,
the Canucks decor keeps me up at night.
yeah, like Charlie said, Jensen's 3 points behind Shabbat, which is it's true. Like, I mean, yeah, it's true, obviously, but like you guys need to pair like that. Two-way defensemen on the back end. Y'all just like you could have gone with I guess Hughes, Tanev, boom. There's your top pair, and then you got Hronek on the second pair, who I think is a two-way D, and then you just got to find a fourth defenseman, which isn't super hard, and a lefty, but you're not there, so.
I mean, we could, we could, I don't know how we entice Toronto.
Four?
It's just for
Oh,
Tanev.
Tanev. Okay. Yeah, no,
And
you're not
because
getting him.
you know what we used to have on our second power play? Our power play quarterback was OEL
Yeah.
for the
It's
longest
like,
time.
hmm
And like I'm not saying that that was bad. Arguably, like our second power play unit was also not good. It was Garland and just whoever else was on the lineup tonight, was out there. Along with usually OEL, and now it's usually Heroic, and he does not have the same capability of running a power play as Hughes. Um, yeah, there's the Canucks have made a lot of defensive errors. You say we need two-way defensemen, and like the only way that most of our defensemen go is giving over the puck. So
yeah, exactly. Like, if you don't have like two-way defensemen are ideal because I look at you can have one offensive defenseman, I think. You look at Vegas's decor, right? They're all obviously big, but there's no like pure offensive defenseman or defensive defenseman on that decor in Vegas that like in the cup winning season, right? Like you on your third pair, you had Nick Hague and Zach Whitecloud. They're both like 6'3" and above, and they can both score. They're not like stars or anything, but they can score and play defense and be physical. And with you guys, it's like, okay, you could have one or two Forberts in the lineup, in limited minutes, of course, but you don't have that. So I don't know where you go from there. You got to add a two-way D-man, though. That's
yeah,
all I got to say.
because we have Hughes and then Heroic's out, so we have it's
Mhm.
like Myers, Susie, and then like it's like a rotating door of Desharnais, Juleson, Brandstrom, Friedman, Forbert.
Yeah. I don't know about that one.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get into this third period segment area thing, um, Game Over has you covered after the game, but in order to get ready to watch the Canucks, you've got to get your game on too. Game On Vancouver will be a short form daily news podcast covering everything you need to know about the Vancouver Canucks. Hosted by Mark Sianquita and Zach Clarke, get all your Canucks news in under 10 minutes, Monday through Friday on the Game Over Vancouver YouTube channel and in podcast form, which you can find at thegameovernetwork.com/pages/Vancouver. And that will be launching in the new year. All right. This is just a quick discussion. Obviously, Elias Pettersson mentions the drama between him and JT Miller. Alleged drama. Again, I'm not a fly on the wall in the locker room there. Um, Asked to comment on it tonight after the game. I don't know why people try and make up, as you can put in the, as they say in Madagascar, sugar, honey, iced tea. That's what Elias Pettersson, that was his comment tonight after the Canucks loss to the Sens. I honestly think the Canucks just need to win a game. I genuinely do not think this needs to be as big of a deal as it is. Like Quinn Hughes had to come out and say it, and just like, yeah, like we just need to get over this hump and play the game. Um, Pettersson to Buffalo is not happening.
Oh, that's a good point, but yeah,
Byram wants to be a
number
he
one.
wants to be a number one QB on the power play. That's not happening. He wants to be the number one like puck moving defense, but it's not happening, bro. Hate to say it. But it would be cool though. But also acquisition cost would be high. He played in Colorado for a considerable amount. He also played for the Giants, so like he knows the market. I don't know why if he knows the market and he wants to come to Vancouver, then I don't know why he's saying he wants to be a number one guy when
Mhm.
we obviously very much so have our guy. No offense to him, but Quinn Hughes is literally the captain. Yeah, like Quinn Hughes having to come out and say like what he did about the Miller Pettersson situation, talking about it, Pettersson now talking about it, saying it's made up. Do I know if it's made up 100%? No. But is that my business? Also no. It feels like it's Mean Girls at this point, the way people are talking about it. That's what it feels like. Like, I haven't heard this much drama. I was about to say it's the drama between grown people, so it's like high school, but that's not true. I worked in retail. Um, at the same
But
time,
true. Being there
yeah.
too.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. Like I I I'm not going to psychoanalyze two grown ass men hockey players. That is not my job. My job is to talk about if they can put the puck in the net. Like I if they, you know what? If one of them likes apples and one likes oranges, okay, cool. That doesn't mean the world is ending, y'all. Like just because the team is awful does not mean that the two guys who are the two leaders under Hughes,
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that they're like at arms with each other. You don't need to pretend to like pick sides or whatever because I've seen people say, "Oh, well this guy's on Miller's side and this guy's on Pettersson's side." And I'm like,
I thought I I thought we were sort of behind this for Vancouver.
it's
Like,
just cuz we're losing.
well, yeah, yeah, right. If you win, oh, it's fine. Like,
Mhm.
just the, okay. With both individual performances for both these players, they should be doing better. I think they should. Pedersen has 26 points, I believe, in 32 games. Gotta be
33.
better, man. Sorry,
33.
23? Oh,
33.
33. Or
Yeah.
sorry, yeah. Um, like gotta be better.
Mhm.
You're paying $11.5 million. He's had, I think, yeah, he's had a 100-point season, so we know he has the potential to do it.
What a clobber.
Um, yeah, crazy skill when he's on. JT Miller, I'm not expecting him to put up 100 points again, but I'm expecting, point per game, and he's around there. Like he's just below, so you know what? Maybe it's a slow start for him, sure,
Mhm.
but that's not gonna fly in Vancouver. Like you guys out here are the fan base is so passionate and it's underratedly passionate. Um, I think a lot of people like in the past 10 years since the Sadi, okay, when's the cutoff? Since you guys had that, okay, you made it in 2015, but that was sort of just like a lucky break in a way, I remember. Uh,
We lost in the first
and
round against Calgary.
yeah, exactly. And then it took you 5 years to go back into the playoffs,
And
but
we
then there
got in
wasn't
the
any
play-in round.
yeah, there wasn't any fans in the arena though.
Mhm.
And then y'all make it back last year. So basically for 9 seasons you didn't have any playoffs in person with like fans in the building and stuff. And I feel like people just sort of forgot about you guys in a way. Like no disrespect or anything. Um, but there seems to be just like there's a lot of pressure on these players, right? And you guys are up there when it comes to like I don't want to say drama or whatever, but if something goes wrong, it's like, oh crap, okay, everything's going wrong here. Let's all latch on to this narrative right now. And I think that's what's going on with this discussion about Miller and Pedersen. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like when the Canucks were losing in 22-23, were the laughing stock of the league, while Arizona's playing
Hmm.
out of a college arena. Again, not to any of the fault of their players. It was their owner who was secretly like flirting with Mormons, but um like they were the laughing stock because there was always something new with the team that was some sort of drama. And then last year, even when the Canucks are doing well, there's always something that comes up. Colorado had issues in their locker room that were present because one of the players' dads was talking smack about another one of his son's teammates. Like that's like I'm an F1 fan. That's F1 tier drama. The, this if the same situation happens in Carolina or Florida, nobody cares. Thank you,
Yep.
Scott. Literally.
Yes.
Like obviously they're not like JT Miller and Pedersen aren't going to start posting each other or posting each other's stats on Instagram or whatever. Or
Yeah.
maybe that's just Matthew Kachuk being obsessed with Barkov. I don't know.
Did he do that?
He
Did he do
posted,
that?
I have it
Oh, that's so funny.
screenshotted. I have it
That's so funny.
screenshotted. He posted
That's
something and he
hilarious.
added a goat emoji to it. He posted
That's
like,
funny.
yeah, he's anyway. Like obviously they're not gonna be joined at the hip or whatever. At the same time, it's not like we could chill out and until Jim Hughes comes out and says JT. Oh wait, no, that's Quinn's dad.
What is I know Ella. It's Ella Hughes is the mother, of course.
Ellen.
But
No,
Ellen, sorry, yes.
I was thinking, I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, that would make sense. Why would Jim be talking about JT Miller and Elias
Mhm.
Pettersson? That makes no sense. And then I was like, oh, what is Pettersson's dad's name? It's Swedish.
Mhm.
Anyway, I'm not gonna butcher that pronunciation tonight. Yeah, if it happened in another market, no one cares. But since Vancouver is Hollywood North, this is the
Oh,
only time. There's a whole video. I remember watching it in high school a few times because it was the point of Vancouver never plays itself in movies because it's always like New York or something like that. Like the first episode of Criminal Minds, it's like Seattle or I don't actually remember. But Vancouver's always a different city. This is the only time Vancouver plays itself, and it's usually the villain. Like
yeah,
we don't need to be talking about high school drama. I
I
I
know. I
I
know.
that's basically what it's come down to at this point.
Well, okay, like the Boudreaux thing has to, because it was just a rumor before, and we sort of had this thing in Ottawa last year. Uh, it was Leems Martian. He's an account on Twitter. He has sort of an ear to the streets.
Oh, the Martian
On
dude.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, okay.
he's broken some signings and some like trades and stuff and draft picks and everything. And he put out a tweet saying that they're like Jacob Chikrin doesn't seem to be fitting in with the team. Like there's some rumblings about not saying always fighting guys in the locker room, but there's some disagreements going on there, and you don't know what that disagreement is about. But they're losing, and you're not winning games, so tensions are going to be high. And with the Boudreaux thing, though, like that took it to the next level because you're having a former coach talking about it on live television on
Wait, did I
TSN.
miss something?
Yeah, Boudreaux said that there was basically a not a rift. I have to look at it again, but
When did he say this?
oh, I need to look it up. Um, a couple days ago, Bruce Boudreaux,
Oh, I missed that.
Pedersen,
But also, he hasn't been in the room for what, 2 years? Not to
exactly.
discredit Boudreaux, but that's
hmm I'm just gonna look it up so that I can, bring up, have good journalism on this case because, uh, uh, okay, so this is what he said. Boudreaux said this on TSN's Overdrive. He said on the situation of like asking if there's something going on between Pedersen and Miller. He said the easy thing would be to say is yes, it is a problem, and I knew they had a little bit of a problem between them before I got there. So this would have been, around COVID. But I thought that was all straightened out. That's what he said.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's fair because they did have some issues, but I also feel like it wasn't resolved until Boudreaux left. Um, that's also just me. Again, I'm not in the room. He was. I'll take his word for it, but also again, the team has obviously gone through a lot of changes over the last year and a half. He last coached the Canucks on in mid-January of 2022 or 2023, so it's been a while since it's almost been 2 years. So, yeah, I don't know if he can confidently have a have an opinion on what it's like right now, but
Not now, no, but
not now,
that's
but
like
like in the past.
if
Yeah.
there's any guy that could like if you're gonna rank your top five people that can speak on the Elias Pettersson and JT Miller relationship, that is one of them because he's your damn coach at the end of the day. He's not
Fair.
in the room right now, but Boudreaux doesn't seem like that guy that's gonna like stir up drama to,
Yeah,
really at all.
he's not out here saying JT Miller made Elias Pettersson show everybody his phone screen and all that. Like
Hmm.
he's not out here saying that stuff, but
No.
um yeah, I part of me is like okay, and then the other part is just like they're also still growing up, so like they have to maybe they got better along better once Pedersen knew he was here long term along with JT. They're gonna have to work together. You're not gonna be BFFs. Well, you're not gonna be BFFs with your coach with your coworkers all the time. Yes, he was their coach, and yeah, they have a rift, but we're all talking about it like they're both vying for. It's like they're two girls catfighting over the attention of their crush, and the crush is like Rick
Yeah.
Tocchet or Quinn Hughes. Like
Mhm.
we need to
No.
calm down. We need to calm
Yeah.
down. This isn't. I didn't know he actually came out and said that. I'm hoping it's not a situation. Yeah.
I think it would have been. I didn't see the whole interview segment with Pedersen, but it would have been nice to see him back up Miller. I think, especially with
Mm-hmm.
Miller, who has had a. It's possible he did. I didn't see the entire thing, but it would be nice to see if Pedersen would have said, "Okay, not that's BS. I don't know what people are saying there. JT is an exceptional teammate. He's maybe not a friend of mine. Like, maybe you could even just say like he's a friend of mine. He's a good teammate. He's passionate. Um, and like all of us, he wants to win. That's kind of all you need to say at the end of the day. And I think it's a good job that he kind of just said no, like this is BS out here. But defending him, I think, would have gone a long way.
Yeah.
And with those sort of things, right? You kind of gotta put your ego aside or whatever, because these two players, they're stars, and like, hey, like, let's say this is an issue, and I don't really know what else I have to say on this, but if this is true, both players need to sit down and have a chat and understand. Okay, combined, we make up $19.6 million in the cap. That is what like almost a quarter of the cap between two players.
Yeah.
We're on the first power play. We're both like number one and number two center, unless they split them up a little bit. But for the most part, like these guys are they're the faces of the team. So you got to figure it out, especially like in a Canadian market. There's no excuses whatsoever. The Sens are going through that right now as well. They're not rebuilding anymore. Vancouver's not rebuilding anymore. This team should be in a playoff spot, and they are basically. So the sky's not falling, and especially when Demko is barely being in the lineup, right? There's still so much of the season left to go, and honestly, in 2 weeks from now, the Canucks could go on a 5-game win streak, and this is done. This is done. This isn't one of those moments where like there's been some rumors out there. I'm not going to speak on it. But like, if y'all know about the Rod Brind'Amour situation back in the day, why he was traded from Philly, you all can go look that up. There's been more serious situations on teammates being traded. This was a rumor, by the way, the Rod Brind'Amour thing. It was not confirmed. But if y'all are interested about that, just look up. I think it's Eric Lindros and Rod Brind'Amour. And there's been more serious situations between two teammates in the past. You could look at Carl. Hey, I completely
Carlson
forgot
and
about that.
Halpin.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes.
that's exactly what I thought of. Yeah.
So they're
There's
out there. There's worse.
yeah. Somebody responded to the tweet. It looks like when Elias Pettersson, after he made his comment, he immediately left the media thing. So I'm assuming it was done. It was at the tail end. Hey, let's all. This person says in quotes, "Hey, let's all give Miller space and respect his mental health." After he goes on personal absence, comes back, and it's quoted, "Same group of media and fans who are harping on EP." LOL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
There's
know
a
what
double
the
standard.
media situation is like in Vancouver.
Oh, it's like Toronto,
Mhm.
but
Yeah. Well, y'all are starving for like. I feel bad, but you guys don't have a cop, right? So we don't either. We don't either.
he was
But you
also
guys,
20 years younger.
yeah, exactly. Like 1970, I think, is when they came in
72.
the
Oh no, 70. Never mind. Yeah, 70. 22 years.
with Buffalo, right?
Yeah,
So
and Buffalo had the first overall pick.
you guys have made the finals 3 times, and so there's like generations of Canucks fans that are just starving for success.
We still do not have the longest cup drought, though.
No, that is Buffalo.
Toronto.
Oh yeah, right. Yes, of course. But still,
67.
like you had the Sedins for 15 years in their prime, basically, and it didn't get done, right? So They were right there, top of the league, like when it comes to points and everything for 10 seasons, and it just didn't get done. So it's like the same situation that the Sharks had. Like the Sharks never won the cup. Uh, the Sens too. Like they were in the playoffs for like 10 years in a row. The pizza line, it just never it never happens, right? And because there's only one cup winner at the end of the day. So
Yep, and they're always American. Anyway, I tuned in
I
for
know.
less than 10 seconds as Kaja slandering the Leafs. It's been a long night, Zach. Leave me alone. My team sucks. I meant more that the Leafs, I mean, yeah, sure, they have the longest cup drought. The the Canucks and the Leafs are more similar than I think their fans would like to acknowledge.
It's
Um,
true.
it's true, yeah. The Sens can't, or the Leafs can't get past the first round. The Canucks can't get past egos apparently. Um, yeah. Anyway, before we get into this last little segment, get your questions, comments, concerns in about literally, quite literally anything. Could be about pizza, could be about the game. I mean, I'm sure Damian probably wants to talk a bit more about the game. I would sure like to forget it happened. Um, Before we move on to that, what better way to support something you love than by rocking it as clothing? The Game Over apparel line has dropped with 3 unique designs. Whether you feel the nostalgic pull of our retro skater design, want to make a statement with our established design, want to wear your love for the goalies proudly with our Live and Die by the Goalie design, or if you just need another coffee to get through the winter, we have you covered. Designed by Brady Chalis from Game Over Winnipeg, use the QR code on stream now and take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Canada while repping your community. Special update for the holidays, using code GOHolidays, that's Go Holidays, we're offering 15% off all winter products, hoodies, and the beanie. This will be active until December 25th, so that's 4 days, with a different sale dropping on Boxing Day. So that's again code GO Holidays, 15% off all winter products. Awesome. Alrighty. So I pressed the right button. All right. Um. Blues just won their first cup in around 67. Same with the Caps 74. True. That is true. The Blues also that was the Cinderella run of all Cinderella runs, to be fair though. Like you were bottom of the league, what? Did
Right
December,
around this time.
January? Right
It was
around this
this
time,
time.
yeah.
hmm
And then you win the cup. Yeah.
The Sens have had that in the past. At least maybe I think from a personal perspective, we've been out of it, but because we had the Hamburglar run in 2015, we always feel like, oh, and we had for a while there from 2012 to 2017, the team was like carried by Carlson,
Mm-hmm.
who was like top 5 player in the league.
Mm.
And I will argue that to the ends of the earth during that stretch. He was like the guy. They had Carlson, best defenseman in the league from that stretch. They had Anderson, one of the best goaltenders in the league, and then basically they had like 5 good forwards, and then they found ways to win though. And the Hamburger run was crazy. But
Surrey
we,
BC legend.
yeah, yeah,
Surrey BC
yeah, true.
legend.
Uh-huh. And and we haven't had the goaltending. So if you don't have goaltending in this league, you're not making it really at all. Like there's only a couple teams who might have subpar goaltending that make the playoffs.
Colorado Avalanche.
Yes. Wait, no, but last year Annunen was like decent, right?
But
Georgiev sucked, but
oh yeah, they won the cup though with like Kemper being out most of the season though, right? Too.
yeah, was he out? He was.
Not the season, no. The playoffs because he got injured. He had like an eye
Mm.
injury, I think,
hmm
in the
Yep.
Nashville series.
Well, Francouz was a great backup.
True.
He had to retire, unfortunately, but.
Yeah. Edmonton almost did that the same last year. Well, that's different because they're Canadian.
Are we talking about the goaltending thing or?
Oh no, just the Cinderella run to all Cinderella runs, going from last to first, basically.
Oh,
But I don't want to think about the
sure.
Edmonton Oilers having success.
I do. I do.
No. No.
Okay. I mean, you guys got your rivalries out in the west here, and then we
Well,
got our rivalries on the east, and then Winnipeg's sort of just on their own little
Winnipeg
island.
Winnipeg is like, oh yeah, we have a rivalry with Minnesota. I was like, you do?
Yeah. The American team.
Yeah. I mean, cause they are kind of their own. I find it really funny when we're just like, yeah, we have the we have our rivalries, but with Vancouver, it's like our rivals have bigger rivals than us. So we're just kind of here. I think our
hmm
biggest rivalry that would be a somewhat mutual consideration would have been Seattle, but Seattle and Colorado have their own thing going on because they met in the
hmm
playoffs. I think Vancouver and Seattle need to meet in the playoffs. But it's either one year it's the Canucks in and Seattle's either like they're both
Yeah.
bad or one team's bad, one team gets in. It flip flops. You could also apply
hmm
the goaltending logic to Edmonton and Toronto.
Last year, the Leafs had it. What? Okay, their starter was
Samsonov?
Samsonov and Wool. Wool was good though. Like, like
Yeah, but
they're
he always gets injured.
And then last year, Edmonton, they started off really bad for goaltending, but then Skinner picked it up from what I can remember. And then Calvin Pickard was also pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I'm just going to double check.
It
But
was Samsonov, Wool, and Martin Jones.
hmm oh, Martin Jones was good randomly for once in a long time.
They would be
Um,
anyone's biggest rival. I also feel like it's like a newer team issue to have.
sure. Yeah.
Vegas has
So
the
I think
rivalries because they were good out of the gate.
Okay, to go on to Zach's comment here. Yeah, I mean Skinner 905, 909 for Picard. So yeah, not the best. I think it's average because save percentage is down until the Charlie says until the Sens make the playoffs. Same thing here. They won't be anyone's biggest rival. Yeah, true. Because there's nothing with the Leafs there. There's something with the Habs for sure. It's Stutzla, but
Jack Campbell, Peter Mrazek tandem. I remember those days.
mm,
Um, yeah, I think Sens Habs is funny. It's similar to like because you said Tim Stutzla and Habs fans hate him. That's kind of like Seattle fans with Tyler Myers. He is like enemy
mhm.
number one because he hit Matty Beniers and when he was a rookie, and then Matty Beniers missed the All Star game, and that was like their big point. So, I mean, Cale Makar also broke a guy's neck, but he's Cale Makar, so he's allowed to exist like that. Um.
Yeah.
Anyway, who is Toronto's biggest rival? Boston. Boston. I feel like there's a lot of. It's not unrequited love. It's unrequited hate in the NHL. Because like the Canucks would be like currently, like I remember back in the day, it was Calgary that was our biggest. You know, like the huge brawl at the beginning of the
Mm,
game in 2014, I believe, when John
the
Tortorella
torts
was
thing. Yep.
of the
hmm
torts, the reason there's a wall now between the two dressing rooms. That whole thing. I remember when my first NHL game was the Canucks against the Flames, and that was, I mean, the Flames were not great. But that was a big thing. And now people are saying, oh, it's Edmonton. The Alberta teams are always going to have the Battle of Alberta. That was the
Yeah.
last goalie fight we've had in the NHL. Yeah.
Last time I checked, there's been no rumors of another BC town getting NHL team.
Well,
So
there's nowhere big
there's nowhere
enough.
else to go. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
nowhere big
You got
enough.
Victoria, I guess. If you're
No, they're not
Yeah.
putting it in Victoria. They're
I
not
know,
putting
I
it in
know.
Kelowna.
I
Like
know.
anyway, yeah, they're not putting it anywhere in BC, and like I said, Seattle will be great. The Whitecaps have a great thing going with the Sounders and the Portland
Mhm.
Timbers,
Yep.
and that's like the Cascadia Cup. It's a supporter run thing. That's a whole thing that's going on. They have the Great Coast rivalry. And it's awesome to go like as a Whitecaps fan, I went down to a Seattle game and it was wild. You have to there's like rules in order to keep opposing fans safe in like Seattle stadiums when you go down there. Yeah, anyway, um fun. But yeah, we could have had that rivalry, but no, and then Cale Makar broke Jared McCann's neck. So
Mhm.
it'll just take one good series to light the powder cake. Exactly. Exactly. Like
Well, yeah, y'all are so far away from everything too, right? I mean, that's just how geography goes. Um, That's how, like, you look at the amount of teams that are in the Eastern time zone. Oh my goodness, like it's crazy because I just moved here to BC, right? So I'm getting used to watching Sens games at 4 p.m. Well, it's so weird, and I like it because it's like, damn, I could go to bed earlier and stuff, and I can take care of my night a lot quicker because 7 to 10 is sort of a you know your night's over basically at that point. But yeah, like geographically, you guys are close to Seattle, and then you got to go all the way down to Vegas, I guess, or I guess San
Mhm.
Jose. That's a while. Like for the Sens, you're a 2 hour drive away from Montreal. New York's probably 8 hours away. Buffalo's like 6, Toronto's 4, Boston's in the vicinity, sort of. So, and then you guys are just far away from everything. So, I don't know. That plays a little bit of a factor, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um,
We also have issues with the Leafs, but that's just because it's the Leafs. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, no, 4 p.m. games are great until you go back to EST and you forget that the 4 p.m. games are now 7 p.m. games and you go to
yeah.
your restaurant way too early to watch the game. That's totally not speaking from personal experience. Anyway, it's an advantage, definitely. West Coast, best coast, in my opinion. Thoughts?
No, not on that, really.
Okay.
Jury's still out. I I don't have like I've liked living here in BC with the mountains and everything. I mean, you can't get sick of that. And living in the east, like it's kind of all I've known, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
there's something bad or good about it, really. But obviously the scenery out here, you gotta be. So
Yeah, I
pretty amazing.
remember landing in Toronto and just being like, oh, it's so flat here.
It
Anyway,
it is, yeah.
it's I was like, oh, there's really like that's how you could tell when something's filmed in Vancouver versus when something's filmed in Toronto because you can't see the mountains. Anyway, I think that's good to end the show with. Are you good on your side?
I'm happy. I'm
All
happy
right.
that
Well,
we're just winning games and like the Sens have been bad for so long. So at least you guys made the playoffs last year, right? So like let's say you missed it this year, at least you made it to game 7 of the second round, right? I know like I get that you would still be cheesed about that, but um
yeah, they ran out of gas. She Loves ran
mhm.
out of gas. That was yeah, it was a
And I
tough one.
think there's no like rivalry between the Sens and Canucks. Like I I'm not even saying this, but like the Canucks, I'm not saying this because I'm on the live stream here, but the Canucks are my second favorite Canadian team. And I would probably say they're my second favorite team overall, as like a backup. And I cheer hard for them in the playoffs. There's no rivalry there, and probably for a good reason. We're like hell far from each other. Uh, but I know, like, I still got hope that you guys will like find a way to squeak into the playoffs. I think Rick Tocchet's a good coach. I think he is like one of the better ones in the league. He's not the worst, but you guys have enough on that roster to make it into the playoffs. Like just looking at the standings here right now, I'm going to pull it up. Oh yeah, you guys are in the first wild card spot, right? There's like what, you're 4 points behind the Kings. You know,
Yeah,
all it
yeah.
takes is a couple games. Like you guys are in the mix. I guess you're technically below 500. I guess you just got to start playing on the road more because 10-3-2. Damn, what the?
Yeah,
Uh,
we had our first, or Lankinen got his first regulation road loss the other night in Vegas.
mhm.
So
Yeah. So I mean, -1 goal differential is it's a little tough.
that's
Not
because
gonna lie.
yeah, we have no offense, we have no defense, we have
Mhm.
not even the power of friendship. We have nothing going for
Yeah, I
us.
know. Yeah, true. With I don't think the Canucks locker room does not seem like the tightest of groups, but I think that getting Demko back will help. I think. Who knows what type of goaltender he's going to be? I think a lot of the season's going to latch
He's
onto him. So,
he's been pretty solid. I mean, the Canucks have
mhm.
done nothing to help him. So, I mean,
Yeah,
business as
exactly.
usual, but he played because Lankinen was recently out with the flu, so.
Yeah,
Demko had to play a
just
few games.
yeah. I think the last thing I'll say is please, like, if I am a Canucks fan, please, I'm asking Patrick Alvin, please get a two-way defenseman on the back end. Like, wow, you can only survive for so long with Quinn Hughes being your number one D on the offensive side of things. If your second best defenseman offensively, and I know Hronik's out of the lineup, but he's been out for a while. If your second best offensive defenseman is Tyler Myers, you need to make sure that you need to improve that decor. Bring something new in, you know?
All right, you heard it. You heard the man, Patrick
Mhm.
Alvin. Bring in Thomas Shabbat.
No,
That's
not
it
him.
for Game Over Vancouver / Ottawa tonight. I have been Kaya. I was joined by Damian. Make sure to subscribe to Game Over Ottawa. Subscribe down below to Game Over Vancouver. Check all the game overs out. Like the stream. Comment down below. Rate, review, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you again. Well, not entirely sure who's going to be on the Ottawa stream tomorrow when they play the Oilers. So it's another crossover for you guys. So it'll be on Game Over Edmonton, so check that out as well. But I'll be back on Monday when the Canucks play the Sharks for their first game before the holiday break. So make sure, or the, yeah, holiday break. Make sure to check that out, and we'll see you again. Sens beating the Leafs in 7 is inevitable. Oh, I love that. I love that idea. I would watch that. I would watch that 4:30 p.m. game any day of the week. 4:30 p.m. because staggered start times only count if it's half an hour. All right. Thank you everybody for joining. The Canucks lost 5-4 in overtime to the Ottawa Senators, and Rick Tocchet still somehow has a job. Good night, everybody.